If you're not excited about Buckeyes football, you should be after hearing why Tyleik Williams stayed at Ohio State.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
That word excited is a big part of my life currently. In a few short months, my wife and I will be welcoming our first child into this world. But also the word excited fits into how I feel about why Tyleik Williams stayed at Ohio State. Welcoming everyone to a Wednesday hump day edition of Locked On Buckeyes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Here on Wednesday, March 13th in the year 2024, I'm your host, Jay Stevens, also the host of the Jay Stevens Podcast, and I'd like to thank you for making Locked On Buckeyes your first listen every day. Tyleik Williams is one of those players that could have easily gone to the NFL, been a late day one, maybe early day two pick, made his millions, and became a professional athlete. He decided to give it one more go-around in Columbus, and I don't blame him. I'm excited about having Tyleik Williams back on the Buckeyes roster and being able to cover him once again, but also let's dive into why he came back, because I think when you hear the why, you'll love it as much as I do. Tyleik Williams in a recent presser discussed why he came back to Ohio State, and he went into some things he did. I'm going to read you a quote from the presser, and when you hear it, you're going to say, oh man, this team is going to be ready to go. Quote, I called a bunch of the older guys to see where their head was at. They basically told me, why not come back? We have a good squad come back, and we can do good things. So basically, I decided, why not? NFL isn't going anywhere. I can get another year of development and learn more things before next year, end quote. Now, he went further on discussing this presser and made a comment where he said, hey, quote, we have to go big or go home, and we're not trying to go home, end quote. I like that. I like that confidence. I like the belief he has with his teammates, with his players, with his boys, with his brothers. I love that. I love the confidence that's right there with him. Similar to Denzel Burke. Denzel Burke saying, hey, natty or bust. Do I think he believes the words coming out of his mouth? Absolutely. Do I believe that he's the only person at Ohio State that believes natty or bust? No, I don't. I think Tyleik Williams and the other players that came back that could have gone to the NFL but said, hey, we are going to stay here in Columbus and try to complete the business that we have not finished. I think that's a narrative throughout the locker room, throughout the Woody, and currently right now, they're preparing with that goal in mind. I love it, man. I love the confidence. Yeah, we'll talk about the pressure that is on that statement and other things that go along with it. But I am sitting here on a Wednesday, on a hump day, excited, man. It's nice outside. I literally got the window open here in the office, and I don't normally do that when the show is recording. But why? If y'all can see what's right now outside my window, that sky, and feel the breeze that is coming through that window, I think y'all would understand why that window is open. It's nice, man. I get excited about that. These are things that are going on right now that I'm like, hey, it's March, mid-March. Conference basketball tournaments, college basketball conference tournaments are going on right now. Before you know it, March Madness will be here. We'll have the first four in Dayton on a Tuesday, on a Wednesday, and then Thursday through Sunday, basketball the following week. Thursday through Sunday, basketball the following week. You got a Saturday and then a Monday. Why? It's college basketball season, baby. We are here for this. We get excited about it. I get more excited about this stuff than college basketball. Many of y'all know when I love basketball. I'm a Hoosier living in Indiana. Basketball has been my thing for my entire life. I love watching basketball. Buckeye football hits different. And it hits different when the leaders on the Buckeyes football team are in unison with their goal. Think about how abnormal it would be if we're talking about a team where some of the leaders and Tyleik Williams and Denzel Burke are saying, hey, go big or go home, and we're not trying to go home. Okay, great. Hey, that's cool. One guy saying it. Another guy, natty or bust. Okay, cool. They're in the same page. Another guy comes out here and saying, man, I came back to raise my draft stock. Like, team goals are great. I don't really know what the team goals for myself are, what I want the team to be, but ultimately, I'm just trying to raise my draft stock. Before I had a fourth or fifth round grade. I'm trying to be a early day two kind of guy, early second round kind of guy, and I want to raise my draft stock. Now, that's great for him personally as his career. What about the team goal? What is one thing we hear all the time about this football team? The brotherhood. How tight they are. How close they are. The brotherhood is important. The brotherhood is tight. The brotherhood is this. It is that. Great. We hear all about it. But ultimately, when it comes to the brotherhood, there are some things that are deeper than some of the personal goals that we have. I'm sure some of you have played on sports teams in your life. Maybe you're playing on one now, or maybe you're a parent where your youngsters are playing on sports teams now. Individual goals are great. Let's say you have a goal of getting a D1 scholarship. And you get that one D1 scholarship. All of a sudden, hey, I want to get 5 D1 scholarships. And ultimately, hey, you get 5 of them. And then ultimately it's, hey, let me find the right school for me amongst this group of 5. That's cool. That's great. I'm not knocking that. But amongst the decision or the decision-making process to decide what school you're going to go to, you're on a team most of the time. Now, it may be tennis where you primarily are a singles guy, occasionally playing doubles, but you're going to college to play singles. Okay, that's an individual thing. Even though I interviewed a tennis coach recently who said when he played tennis in high school, he loved the team aspect. And I said, that's not a normal thought for it to be a team aspect when thinking about tennis, which is primarily an individual sport. But he said, no, the team aspect is what drew me in and really caused me to love the sport. It's like, oh, that's an interesting thought. That's not normal for most people to think about, but that's interesting for a tennis player to think about the team aspect. Yes, every player at Ohio State has individual goals. It may be, hey, I want to carry a 3.2 GPA and do this on the football field. Great. Maybe it is, hey, I am a walk-on, but I want to get a scholarship. Great. That is great. What if you're a leader and you're saying, hey, I have my individual goals, but in the process, I want to make sure my individual goals help our team accomplish all of our goals. That's where the unison is if everyone's on the same page. And right now, these older guys, I'm loving what I'm hearing. I am loving the unison. I am loving them speaking their own language and saying it in their own way. Going to talk more about Denzel Burke here in a second, and then also touch on a freshman quarterback that somebody thinks could be a big piece for the Buckeyes offense in the fall. Trust me, it's a loaded show. Y'all better be glad to be here because it's got some good stuff coming your way. This stuff here, it's big. Go big or go home. And the rest of that quote, and we're not trying to go home. I'm here for it. I am here for that. TNT, inside the NBA, they have their going fishing segment during the playoffs, and they joke around about it and said, hey, they going fishing, or 1, 2, 3 Cancun. My dad likes watching Charles Barkley on TV, and when they say 1, 2, 3 Cancun, talking about, hey, our season is over, we're going to Cancun on vacation. Of course, my dad's going to chuckle. My dad's going to laugh. I mean, I would laugh with them. Those are funny guys. And for that to be a show that there really is no production meeting. It's very much on the fly. Yes, Ernie Johnson knows what he's talking about, knows what he's prepared for, but a lot of the stuff is ad-libbed or on the fly. I love that kind of show. I love that. I love that. 1, 2, 3 Cancun, that's for them. If y'all going to Cancun, make sure it's after the national championship. Why? Because 1, it's after, but 2, make sure y'all win that thing, get that ring, lift that trophy up, because this is why y'all came back to play at the Ohio State University. Speaking of playing at the Ohio State University, there is a freshman wide receiver that Denzel Burke was initially going to wait to make a statement on 2 practices in. He made a big statement about Jeremiah Smith. We'll dive into what he said next as the show rolls on. This episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. eBay guaranteed fit, only available to U.S. customers. This episode is also brought to you by our friends at Billiards Plus. Billiards Plus has the best selection of pool tables, game tables, shuffleboard tables, and more. And the best service in Central Ohio. And guys, check this out. Billiards Plus carries grills that have up to 30-year warranties. Everything you need for in-home and backyard entertainment is at Billiards Plus. Billiards Plus carries the best pool tables from Brunswick, Ohio, Canada, Billiards, and more. And the grills, whether you like charcoal or gas or wood-fired, Billiards Plus has a perfect setup for all grillers. They are family-owned and operated. And when you talk to the staff at Billiards Plus, you're going to know you're talking to an expert who won't steer you wrong. No matter the season, Billiards Plus has you covered for all your indoor and outdoor entertainment needs. Kenny, Sarah, and the whole entire staff will always go above and beyond to give you the best customer service in the industry. Billiards Plus. Visit their showroom on Dublin Center Drive in Dublin. Thank you for making Locked On Buckeyes your first listen or first watch of every single day. If you can't tell already that I am pretty excited about what's going to happen at Ohio State in the fall, and I'm also excited about the college basketball breakdown show on Monday, March 18th at 7 a.m. Eastern Time that Locked On is providing for your enjoyment. Experts Andy Patton and Isaac Shade will break down their brackets and discuss everything that you need to know to fill out a winning bracket and prepare for this year's NCAA tournament. Find the Locked On bracket breakdown on the Locked On College Basketball Podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm also excited. This word excited has just infiltrated the show today. I still host a show called the CougarCast covering IU Kokomo Athletics. It's a weekly podcast. And when I first took over, I was doing the show with the athletic director at the school. And the word excited was a word that I used to describe what's going on at the school. And I couldn't get away from it for 3 or 4 shows. And we were literally joking about it in the moment. Like, well, the word excited is here again. It's the same way with this show. The word excited is one that's going to be here for quite a long time. And also is a word that can describe how Denzel Burke is feeling about Jeremiah Smith right now. The true freshman wide receiver, the best wide receiver in the class, I think it was the best player in the 2024 recruiting class, is at Ohio State. And normally for a true freshman, I'm still reserving and waiting to see him on the field before making any big, bold, bad statements. Denzel Burke he waited a couple practices before making a big statement. We're going to read and hear what Denzel Burke said before seeing Smith on the field and after he saw him complete 2 practices during the spring. Quote, this is before. I got to see bro in person. All that high school stuff is cool, but when you got an elite corner lining across your face, let me see what you can do. I heard he's a 5-star. Let's line up and we'll find out, end quote. Now, that's what he had to say before Smith got on the practice field inside the Woody. Here's what Denzel Burke, who I think is a future first-round pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, had to say about Smith after seeing the young man in action. Quote, watch out for him. This might be a big statement, but just the way he handles himself and the way he moves and the potential he has, I feel like he might be the next best receiver to come through here. And I'm really excited to see what he can do. The sky's the limit for him, end quote. Now, that last part to me goes back to Lil Wayne's song that I heard back when I was in high school. The sky is the limit. I was like, wait, what? The sky is the limit. And so I'm sitting here and I don't really listen to, I'm not the biggest music guy, like as big into music like I used to be. But I remember in high school when that song came out, I was like, oh man, okay. It was on repeat over and over and over. And that's what I think about. That feeling I heard when I hear somebody say, hey, the sky is the limit. A lot of it came from a song. But also, when it's tied to a young man that is this hyped up, coming into a school like The Ohio State, you got my attention. And hey, if Denzel Burke is saying this about Jeremiah Smith right now, everybody needs to pay attention. I don't care if you're a youngster, if you're an incoming freshman, a true freshman like Jeremiah Smith. I don't care if you've been at Ohio State 5 or 6 years. I don't care. Y'all better pay attention to this young man. Because if you don't, if you're just here like, oh, he a freshman, he ain't going to do nothing, you might get lost. It might end up on the Instagram. It might end up on the Twitter. It might end up on the YouTube. And you know what? It might be something that adds motivation to Jeremiah Smith. And I remember Brian Smith, Locked On recruiting analyst who knows Jeremiah Smith personally. We did a recruiting segment with Brian. And Brian said, hey, man, he's just built different. Like, he's not normal. And we say he's not normal about a lot of people that truthfully don't deserve to have that said about them. Similar to people saying, hey, so-and-so is a generational talent. Do people truly understand what that statement means? I don't think so. Also like this, people say, hey, so-and-so is a GOAT. What does the GOAT stand for? The greatest of all time. So to me, the greatest of all time in the NBA is Michael Jordan. I'm not changing that. That hasn't changed. Kobe Bryant's my favorite player. Michael Jordan is the best of all time, the greatest of all time to me. Those two things are not changing. And so when I think about that, I also hear people say, man, there's multiple GOATs. How are there multiple GOATs in one sport? Especially when you're going to say, hey, there's like 5 GOATs. 2 of them are guards, one's a center, and the other 2, you got 2 shooting guards, 2 small forwards in the center. Make it make sense to me. I was in an interview recently with a guy, and I said, hey, man, make this make sense. And he understood what I was saying when I said it, but I'm like, make it make sense. People say the GOAT in ways that it should not be utilized. The same way is with people. When they say so-and-so is generational talent, you can't say that every year. Because then you're saying generational talent does not hold the same weight that it used to. And when people are making big statements like about Jeremiah Smith, hey, it's not like someone saying, hey, there's multiple GOATs. No, I don't believe that at all. Because I think Denzel Burke realizes he knows he knows an elite receiver. He knows a good receiver when he sees one. And for him to talk about the potential that Jeremiah Smith has before he steps on the field in a game, that is big. He said, watch out for him. And he said, hey, this might be a big statement, but just the way he handles himself and the way he moves and the potential he has, I feel like he might be the next best receiver to come through here. And I want to piggyback and remind everybody about something Brian Smith said here on the show before we move on to Julian saying. Brian Smith said, by the end of the season, Jeremiah Smith will be a starting receiver at Ohio State and will be the second best receiver on the team, behind only Emeka Egbuka. I am high on Brandon Ennis. I am high on Carnell Tate. Didn't see a lot of them last year, but what I saw gave me a lot of belief in what they might be as Buckeyes receivers when they start. But for you to be a true freshman, and for Brian to be covering recruiting for a long time, and he says, hey, at the end of the year, he's your second best receiver behind only Emeka Egbuka, who right now, by coming back, I do believe will be a future first-round pick himself. That says a lot. Mo Murphy on yesterday's show also said a lot and made a big statement about Julian saying, being the day one starter at Ohio State. Do I agree with that? Didn't really push back on it yesterday. You'll hear my thoughts next on Locked On Buckeyes. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Say goodbye to busted brackets because FanDuel lets you bet on every game of the tourney. Whether you're betting on a big upset or a 1 seed, it's time to go dancing on America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Guys, that's so easy. It's easy money. New customers, this is for you. You're able to get $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. That was so easy, I had to say it again. You can bet and use that on point spreads, money lines. You can even pick who's going to win it all. Where do you do it? Where is the action going down at? FanDuel.com/locked on. I'll say it again a little bit slower. FanDuel.com LOCKEDONN bet on college hoops until they cut down the nets. Thank you, everyone, for listening in, tuning in to Locked On Buckeyes here on this Hump Day part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Make sure you subscribe to Locked On Buckeyes on the Apple, the Spotify, or the YouTube, or wherever you get your fine podcast. So Mo Murphy, frequent contributor here to the podcast, made a bold statement himself. We could just call this Bold Statement Wednesday. Tyleik Williams, Denzel Burke, and Mo Murphy. Mo made a big statement about Julian Sayin, the transfer quarterback from Alabama, about where he will fall in the quarterback room this year. And I'm high on Julian Sayin. I am high on Aaron Nolan. I am higher on them than most true freshman quarterbacks. That's not a new statement. And if it is, if you're new around here, you heard it for the first time. But when I hear somebody, especially one of my buddies, one of my boys that comes on this show and says, hey, man, Julian Sayin is going to be the day one starter at Ohio State. When we have Brian Smith on the show, I have said it there numerous times, and I kind of agree with Brian. I don't agree with everything everybody says that comes on the show. This is an example. The fact that Ryan Day is probably not going to start a true freshman quarterback. I believe it. Many of y'all believe it. And some of y'all might agree with Mo. Y'all can agree. Y'all can have your own day. Y'all can do that. But for me, no. And I'm only publicly saying this because Mo is my boy. I'll say to him too. I don't believe Julian Sayin is going to be the day one starter. Now, do I think he's going to start at Ohio State at some point if he stays at Ohio State? Yes, I do believe he's going to start. Now, how does that impact Aaron Nolan? That is literally TBD to be determined because there's a really good opportunity and chance that both of them redshirt this year, which definitely impacts how they're going to be utilized in the future. So when it comes to this part here with Julian Sayin, he is a good player. However, wait your turn, buddy. This ain't the time. This ain't the time right now at all. And I am not saying that I am all in on Will Howard or Devin Brown starting. I am not going that far. If Lincoln Kienholz finds a way to tap into the athleticism and he progresses in a great way, man, look, Lincoln Kienholz and Chip Kelly's offense, woo, I'm here for it. I am here for it. Absolutely, 100%. I am here for it. And my only big thing with Julian Sayin not being QB1 right now, it goes into he is too young. That's not in Ryan Day's playbook. That's not the way that he operates. Ryan Day is not the kind of guy to do that. No, he is not. Now, Chip Kelly may do it. I think he played Dante Moore as a true freshman. Okay, great. Cool, great. But do you think Chip Kelly is going to be able to come in here and overturn Ryan Day at that position? No, buddy. I don't. Especially when Chip Kelly is a QB coach and the OC. I don't think it's going to happen. Now, what I do think is going to happen is that when we see these quarterbacks in the spring game, and I really hope that we're able to see all five play. I know it's not likely, but I would love to see all five play. If we get to see all five quarterbacks play, Will Howard, Devin Brown, Lincoln Kienholz, Aaron Nolan, and Julian Sayin, one is a very, very, very small sample size, so keep that in mind. But number two, and more importantly, that is not going to be the end-all, be-all about who's going to start week one in the season. That is the end of a 15-practice spring session. You got the summer off as far as organized and formal practices with the pads and on the field and stuff like that, things of that nature. Then you get back at fall camp and more stuff goes on. If Sayin wants to do that, one, he got to bulk up. Because I saw a picture of that bad boy, him and Aaron Nolan. They a little bit skinny right now, but that's expected as true freshmen. That is expected. Think about you when you were a college, no matter if you're a freshman in college or freshman in high school. Think about you in that way. What is it? If you're an athlete, they're going to try to find a way to help you bulk up. It is needed. This is a physical sport. It is not the easiest on the body. It's not easy at all. It's not easy on the mind. And for a true freshman to come in and to say, hey, I'm ready right now, they not built like Jeremiah Smith. Jeremiah Smith comes in and he's already built for this. From what I have seen already physically from Sayin and Nolan, they're not built for this right now physically. I'm not saying they won't be there down the road, but right now physically, they're not there yet. And that's not a problem. And if they do that over the next 2-3 months, how does that impact their throwing motion? How does that impact how they move in the pocket? How does it impact the different aspects of their game that make them the quarterbacks that they are? That's literally something we have to wait to see. And I'm going to have to wait and see, man. Maybe Sayin gets on the field in the fall. Maybe the 5 quarterback room, maybe somebody transfers, which is what I think is actually going to happen. I'm not sure who, because Sayin and Nolan just got on campus and there will not be, I don't think there will be a coaching change that will open the portal for these guys right now. Said it once. Said it about Bill O'Brien. Said, hey, man, this is going to be fine. Nobody's going to have to worry about him. Oh, no, he left. He left for a job that was better for his family in the location of that. Great. You got more money. It's better for your family. Your family didn't move with you from Boston, New England area when you were on the Patriots coaching staff to Columbus. No, your son, medically, the doctor's in Boston. I understand it. And if you're able to keep him there and do that, so be it. I understand. I completely understand. And I also understand why somebody might say Julian Sand is going to be the Buckeyes' day one starter. I can understand it. I understand a lot of things that are said to me that I hear on the radio, that I hear on podcasts, that I read in articles. I understand a lot of those things. I also understand that there are things going on right now that ultimately people want to say a lot of wild things this time of year. You don't have to pay attention. You don't have to listen to them. Y'all, I love this, man. I'm literally like, if y'all watching the YouTube, you see my hand right now, my left hand. You can see, man, there's a little shine right here. And I'm not trying to keep it there. But look, man, it is too nice outside right now. It's way too nice. The window's open, feeling good. I ain't wearing a hoodie today. Got me a little t-shirt on. I am in a good mood. I'm excited about this Buckeyes football team. I'm excited about Tyleik Williams and him saying, go big or go home. But we ain't trying to go home. Hey, watch out for him. Denzel Burke made that big old statement about Jeremiah Smith and Julian saying QB1 this year. Y'all, I don't see it. This has been Locked on Buckeyes here on a hump day. You can follow me on X at jstevens07. You can also send all of your emails to jstevens317@gmail.com. This has been Locked on Buckeyes on a hump day. We'll see you next time.